We're back. I gotta stop doing the peak pose. We're back with Kagurabachi. Ugh, I can't even speak English. Yeah, it's so the Suzaku, the Phoenix Feathers. I guess he can. Let's just get straight into it. Samura, Hirohiko, and Chihiro are doing some peak work, and it's crazy because for the first time in like a while, we're seeing scale for the swords and how they maneuver a little bit. In terms of seeing how Samura walks down that hallway on fire with the feathers still bouncing off of him, and he's more or less still just as powerful and able to use flames in a sense as well. So it's like Hirohiko is trying to assess the situation. Samura is trying to kill as quick as he possibly can. Chihiro is trying to manage both at the same time. Three different goals. Three different goals. And this is the crazy part. Yawn. Excuse me. This is the crazy part about the chapter is that Hirohiko's ability to assess the situation, because mind you, when all three clash, it's a beautiful panel. It's a beautiful panel of all three swords clashing, and the way that the building is collapsing, and the ring of spirit energy that you see is beautiful. But what I think is crazy is Hirohiko's ability to assess the room. Knowing that he can't use Banquet because a Chihiro would just reinforce and basically allow him to counter it with Nishiki. And he's making sure that he can't use his third ability because he's already behind, so he has to maintain the second. So he goes for the second ability and he changes the object to be used. Chihiro, I think, is something that really has not thought about completely the effects that Hirohiko has on the Kumayori. Again, the user is just as important as the sword when it comes to bringing out its true realm. And for someone like Hirohiko who does not care about any quality of life whatsoever, who has been fighting since he came out and has been on that path since, is able to almost bend anything to his will that he sees as an object, which is literally everything. And it's crazy because we show the flashback of Hirohiko's ability and how his compatibility with the Kumayori was the worst. Not in terms of it being like it's bad, but in terms of being it's the wrong person to have the sword, because all of a sudden now you have the damsel around the building itself, deconstructing the building, playing around with the building itself. And the fact that Hirohiko is able to navigate that in such a way is crazy to me. And even to manipulate the bodies, the building, and to send both after Samura, and showing that basically they're trying to make it look like Samura is irrelevant, but this is where he flourishes. And I think Hirohiko forgets that for as long as he's held the blade, Samura has handed, if not 3, 4, 5 times as much. And so while he's thinking that he's getting Samura out of the playing field, Samura, obviously having the bird motif of his sword, is going to fly away. But Hirohiko thinks he's flying away to get out of there. But what Samura is doing, he's flying to get an angle so he can swoop down and basically snatch Hirohiko out of this. Well, I was going to say out of the sky. Basically immediately one-shot him. Because what he does is Samura is able to show the true realm of the blade, which is as he comes down, he's rebirthing and reconstructing the building itself. And this just goes to show how much precision Samura has on the blade that he has for the Phoenix part. And it's I think Hirohiko should have known that anything that he can do, Samura should be able to replicate in a sense. Maybe not directly, it won't be the same way, but enough to be like, oh wait, for everything that I know, Samura has sat with this sword longer. And that's the arrogance of Hirohiko that really gets under my skin a lot. And it's just, as soon as we realize that Hirohiko was not able to use the third ability, it's like two things that you get. Number one, it's the feeling of disappointment in a sense, because you're like, man, he never got to use the third ability. But then in addition, we're able to see just how efficient Samura is with the blade. And for Hirohiko, who is acting like kind of like a spoiled child upon losing, because that's his whole thing, he's determined to win. And as soon as he does it, now he's like, I can't do it again. He fumbles, he slips, he falls. But I want to be able to see the Kumayori's third ability. I don't like shows, let me put this out here too. I don't like shows who have certain abilities and you never get to see them. I think that's very weird, unless it's a very specific case. Like, for example, all the Enchanted Blades, we should see all the Enchanted Blades abilities. I don't want anything to be a secret for the Enchanted Blades. That throws me off. Especially when it comes to Shinichi, the other blades, I don't think we should not see those abilities in action. If anything, we should, because of how the three swords are being displayed here and presented, the Komayori, the Enten, the Tobimune, we need to see the other swords work in tandem, and how it needs to pay homage. Well, homage isn't the right word. It needs to reflect the war from back then, to show what really, what really it looked like when all these swords were in the same place fighting the same people. And that's the thing that I want to see. But one thing I really like in this chapter is the determination of Chihiro that doesn't end up being arrogant. In that parallel of Hirohiko and Chihiro again has Hirohiko's already crying, he's upset that he's lost, the arrogance of losing, and yet Chihiro's determined to win, but he's not arrogant about it. And it's such a quick, small, minor detail that changes things. Because as soon as Hirohiko was hit, Chihiro's already ready to throw the sword down. He's already ready to throw it down. And now it's Samura versus Chihiro, and you can tell in Chihiro's stance on the last page of the chapter, he's not going for none of it. He's definitely locked in. And I think it's really important, because the first time around that Chihiro even had to fight Samura, he was one-pieced. Pieced up instantly. He tried to hang with him, couldn't do it. But now that Chihiro has a different understanding of, number one, swordsmanship and his blade, I think this is the time to where it's okay if it ends in a stalemate because of what Samura has been doing this whole arc. I think it's okay now to put them at a stalemate once Chihiro unlocks the true realm of Enten. I think that's fair assessment. I think that's an okay thing to do. Now, the issue comes in is it too early to let these two fight again? And so what I was saying in the last video is that there are Hishaku members waiting on the outskirts, waiting for something to go wrong, waiting for something to go awry, and Yura still trying to get the Shinichi. Do we get Samura and Chihiro versus the Hishaku because of Iori? Or do we get Chihiro versus Samura, and then whoever is left standing after the fact has to fight all the Hishaku members? I hope that's not the case. Regardless of what the case may be, I hope that's not the case, because then not only is the Shinichi going to possess the user, which is Yura, but there's so many ways this can go wrong. And I don't want that to happen with Chihiro and Samura, and that's why I'm hesitant for it to be Chihiro versus Samura facing off, whatever, and then whoever's left over fights everyone who's in hiding. I don't want that to happen because it doesn't look good for us. But you never know. Hokuzono has always been using Peak to the best of his ability. He always writes like the rent is due, and maybe it is for him, and that's why he's coming out with such weekly bangers, one after the next. But what are you going to do? It's Kagurabachi. Y'all be easy. Peace.